Number 8. Robert Louis Dear. On November the 27th of 2015, a man opened fire on the occupants of a Planned Parenthood clinic in Colorado Springs, Colorado. After hearing the sound of gunshots, the clinic staff sprang into action and quickly moved people out of the waiting room. They then locked a security door before notifying local police of the active shooter situation. As responding law enforcement units approached the clinic, the gunman fired upon them as well, killing one of the officers and injuring another 5. A standoff subsequently ensued and lasted several hours, over the course of which the police put the surrounding area on lockdown. Shortly before 5 p.m, a group of SWAT officers brought the standoff to a swift conclusion when they crashed an armored truck into the clinic's lobby. Many of those who'd been trapped inside were rescued, and the gunman ultimately surrendered himself to the authorities. During the investigation that followed, the man responsible for the mass shooting was identified as 57-year-old Robert Louis Dear. Aside from the officer's death, his rampage had also ended the lives of civilians Kiare Stewart and Jennifer Markowski. Dear was a drifter from North Carolina who'd allegedly targeted the Planned Parenthood clinic for political reasons. When detectives questioned him about the incident, he went on a rambling rant in which he expressed deeply anti-abortion and anti-government views. He also made concerning statements about then-President Barack Obama that prompted the U.S. Secret Service to interview him as well. After undergoing a series of mental competency evaluations, Dear was deemed both delusional and incompetent to stand trial. The judge presiding over his case ordered him to be confined to a Colorado State mental hospital indefinitely. Number 7. Joshua Odom. A man walked into a police station in Des Moines, Iowa on August the 11th of 2016 and confessed to committing the murder of an elderly Florida man more than a decade earlier. Detectives spoke with the forthcoming individual, a drifter named Joshua Odom, who proceeded to describe in graphic detail how he'd killed Richard Busey back in 2002. Odom, who was homeless at the time, had met up with 70-year-old Busey on April the 4th of that year. They both ended up going to the man's apartment in Wilton Manors, Florida, to have intimate relations. Later on that night, Odom reportedly decided to rob and kill Busey, planning to use what he took from him to purchase drugs. According to the Sun-Sentinel, Busey's lifeless body was found covered by a sheet on the floor of his living room by a friend who'd gone to check on him. The murder had remained unsolved until Odom's unprompted confession, which the Des Moines police passed on to officials in South Florida. The drifter was ultimately taken into the custody of the Broward County Sheriff's Office on charges of first-degree murder and theft. Number 6. Arturo Perez. Famie Bellot, the owner of a women's apparel store in Mount Vernon, Kentucky, was found dead inside her shop on the evening of September the 29th of 2020. The Rock Castle County coroner conducted an autopsy on the 54-year-old's body and determined that she'd been stabbed to death. In the incident's wake, local schools were placed on heightened alert. On September the 30th, all students were ordered to be kept inside their respective buildings throughout the day. During the ensuing murder investigation, local and state authorities worked in conjunction towards identifying a suspect. In the month that followed the fatal stabbing, it was reported that they'd arrested a person of interest in the case. A Kentucky state trooper announced during a press conference that a 26-year-old drifter named Arturo Perez had walked into the Lexington Metro Police Department and confessed to Bellot's killing. The resulting arrest report detailed how Perez had entered the victim's store and robbed her while brandishing a fake handgun. He then knifed the woman to death before fleeing the scene. Perez was charged with murder, robbery, and tampering with evidence. Number 5. Jacob Barber. On July the 21st of 2019, police officers in Moore, Oklahoma, were sent to the home of local resident Glenn Barber, who'd failed to show up to church as he was known to routinely do every Sunday. Upon their arrival at the house, the police discovered the man's body. Barber had been attacked and killed via multiple stab wounds. They also found bloodstains and a bloodied knife in the bedroom, belonging to the victim's son, Jacob. As was later detailed in court documents, the father and son had had a volatile relationship and were said to have gotten into heated arguments on a daily basis. Jacob had reportedly gone to several mental health institutions in the past. Even though he'd been diagnosed with schizophrenia, he allegedly refused to take any medications, which proved to be a point of contention between him and his father. Investigators immediately identified Jacob as the case's prime suspect. However, following his father's killing, the 21-year-old had reportedly fled his hometown and become a drifter. leading to a multi-day manhunt that extended into neighboring states. He was eventually located outside of a PetSmart along US Highway 377 in Roanoke, Texas. Local officers had been responding to a call about a suspicious person when they found Jacob sleeping on his backpack. He was taken into custody and charged with first-degree murder. Number 4. Andrew Charles Altland. York Area Regional Police in Pennsylvania received a tip on August 29th of 2019 about an individual suspected of breaking into and burglarizing multiple local schools. Officers tracked the man, subsequently identified as 23-year-old Andrew Charles Altland, to a barbershop in Queensgate Town Center. He was taken into custody on charges of burglary, theft, institutional vandalism, and defiant trespass. According to subsequent reports, Altland, a drifter of no fixed address, had gotten into York County School of Technology through an unlocked door on August the 27th. He proceeded to spend much of that night inside the school, allegedly stealing shoes, a t-shirt, and food as he wandered the building, rummaging through closets and desks. Altland then punctuated his trespassing escapade by relieving himself on the floor of the attendance office. It was reportedly the second time in a week that the drifter had broken into a York County school. Spring Gettysburg Township Police also charged Altland for burglarizing the York Suburban Middle School. He was accused of eating, sleeping, and showering inside after breaking a window with a rock to gain access to the building. Following his arrest, Altland's bail was reportedly set at $50,000. Number 3. Michael David Morano. A drifter from Orange County, California, was identified as a suspect in a series of bank robberies that were committed over the course of 2 months in the summer of 2011. A statement released on behalf of the Sheriff's Office revealed that Michael David Morano, whom the media had dubbed the Drifter Bandit, had been taken into custody by local officials after being pulled over in his vehicle on July the 8th. Morano had allegedly stolen an estimated total of $30,000 from 4 different banks during his robbery spree, which had taken place between May the 3rd and July the 6th. He was tracked down by the Orange County Police's Bank Robbery Apprehension Team, which consisted of a sheriff's deputy and an FBI agent. Morano was reported as having a lengthy criminal record that dated back to the 1980s. In addition to being a career criminal, the 46-year-old was also reportedly a vagabond who roamed Southern California. Following the man's arrest, a spokesman for the Orange County Sheriff's Office quipped that he would now only be drifting from the county jail to the federal penitentiary. In August of 2012, Morano pleaded guilty to 4 counts each of second-degree robbery and second-degree commercial burglary. As part of a plea bargain with prosecutors, the drifter had 8 prior convictions struck from his record, including for 5 robberies and 2 assaults with a firearm, all of which stemmed from judgment decisions handed down in 1988. Morano was consequently imprisoned for a term of 30 years.
If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below, or follow us on Instagram and reach out to us there.
Number 2. Sean Laval Smith. At about 1:30 p.m. on January the 13th of 2022, Brianna Kupfer, a design consultant at a Los Angeles furniture shop, sent a text to a friend saying there was a man inside the store who was giving her a bad vibe. Shortly thereafter, a customer walked in to find the 24-year-old's bloodied and lifeless body on the floor. Kupfer, a UCLA graduate student, had been fatally stabbed by the man she deemed suspicious, who subsequently fled out the back door. Within a few hours of the murder, the LAPD used surveillance footage to identify the assailant as Sean Laval Smith, aged 31. The following day, investigators received a tip from a Good Samaritan who'd seen a man matching Smith's description on the corner of Colorado and Fair Oaks in Pasadena. Officers were dispatched to the location where they came upon the suspect at a bus bench and arrested him on the spot without incident. Court documents indicated that Smith had had several run-ins with the law in the past, including a 2016 arrest in South Carolina that had resulted in him being charged with assaulting a police officer. The authorities described Smith, who reportedly had a history of mental illness, as a drifter who used the public transit system to get around Los Angeles. Subsequent reports indicated that he'd had no prior relationship with the victim and that he targeted her in a completely random act of violence. Smith was charged with murder, to which a special allegation that he used a knife as a deadly weapon in the commission of the crime was added. Number 1. Colin Daniel Richards. Shortly before 10:30 a.m. on September the 17th of 2018. The police were called to the Coldwater Golf Links in Ames, Iowa, after a bag had been found unattended on the course. Upon combing through the surrounding area, officers discovered the body of former Iowa State University golf champion Celia Barquin Arozamena. The remains were retrieved from a pond close to where the golf bag had been abandoned. The 22-year-old victim had been killed via multiple stab wounds to her upper torso, head, and neck. The police subsequently encountered a man identified only by the initials DB walking on a nearby trail. He claimed to have been staying with a homeless drifter at a makeshift campsite in a wooded area near the golf course. DB told the investigators that only a few days earlier, the drifter had shared with him that he'd felt a powerful urge to assault and murder someone. Later that afternoon, a canine unit tracked Arozamena's scent into the woods, where the police came upon Colin Daniel Richards at the campsite DB had previously described. The man had scratches all over his face and was allegedly attempting to conceal a cut on his left hand while speaking with the officers. Richards was found to be in possession of a knife and a black backpack containing 2 pairs of bloodied shorts. It was ultimately determined that he'd fatally stabbed Arozamena while she'd been golfing alone that morning, and he was arrested on a charge of first-degree murder. In June of 2019, Richards pleaded guilty to the charge and was consequently sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Thanks for watching. Would you rather lead a nomadic existence or never leave your room for an entire year? Let us know in the comments section below.